Thank you for watching, and remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for your support.
It's just favorable conditions in the Gulf. Not only are we not going to have to fight any shear, very little shear at that, but also some very light winds, favorable outflow to allow this system to breathe. So it's taking in some of that warm, moist tropical water, and then it's letting out some of the outflow of some of that colder air on top. And when you see that process taking place, you have a hurricane that will be able to not only sustain itself, but intensify as it's going to move over some very, very warm water, and even some of the warmest water right on the coastline of Louisiana. So we're looking at a scenario where you could potentially see this intensify all the way up until landfall. That would make peak intensity right at landfall. So you'll notice it is fighting a little bit of shear right now. So when you look at this presentation on satellite, you'll notice that a lot of the convection is on the eastern side of this. That shear kind of just disappears once we get into the Gulf, and it's going to have to fight very little shear. And I think it's incredible, just the model consensus, where almost every single model is in agreement. It's not too often that you see that moving directly into Louisiana. So it's not just the warm surface temperatures of the water. We also have some very deep warm water at this point. So when you have these tropical systems that churn through this water, sometimes if you have colder water that is deeper, that can be brought up to the surface and it can kind of disrupt the hurricane's process. But at this point, you see those dark reds and those oranges. That is some very deep in the tropics, because it's not just Ida. We also have Tropical Storm Nora, that's in the Pacific, but we also have Invest 97L and Invest 98L, areas of investigation. Here's why. We've got an 80% chance of development, but Jen, here's the good news.
So all of our islands are looking at this and say, phew, it's moving up to the north. That's the area of concern. So it is a shipping interest, though, here. So heads up.
And as we move into the Pacific, we have Tropical Storm Nora. This is going to be pushing to the north and gaining a little bit of intensity as it does that.
Yes, and so we'll keep an eye on things up here, Cabo San Lucas. But this moisture from Nora actually may get up into the southwest U.S.
Could see some showers today while you're trying to prep for Ida's arrival. So here's the latest from the National Hurricane Center, bringing this up to wind speeds of 120 miles per hour prior to making landfall along the Louisiana coastline. That is a strong Category 3. And look at that arrival time. That's the later half of Sunday. So you really just have today and tomorrow to prepare, and that's it. So really, the time is now. Hurricane watches out, as well as tropical storm watches from coastal Alabama all the way over into areas like Lake Charles. Hurricane watch for Grand Isle, extending up into New Orleans and even over into Baton Rouge. Here is where Ida is right now. 65-mile-per-hour sustained winds. You're starting to see more of that symmetrical appearance. It's really had a few strong thunderstorms in the last couple satellite loops, and that is a sign that this is trying to gain a little bit of strength. The hurricane hunters, the Air Force hurricane hunters, they are in Ida right now. They just made their most recent pass, and they're still finding those tropical storm force winds, but they are finding that some of the pressure is dropping in some of their drop zones, the equipment that they drop into the hurricane. And when you tropical storm really at this point, or any kind of tropical system, but when you start